Hey everyone, welcome to this session of the video. I'm going to talk to you today about the true goal setting of what you need to do to become a surplus funds locator, state fund, bankruptcy, mortgage overage, tax overage, whatever it is you're desiring. I'm going to talk to you about some of the nuts and bolts that we go over inside our program. I'm actually taking you inside, but before I do that, and I'm going to go over several things, this is going to be a longer video, but before you do that, if you've not subscribed to my channel, click the subscribe link down below. I do give freebies, might be a coaching call with me, might be a surplus funds gear, could be a thumb drive with some course content on it, could be a number of things. And then click the notification link if you would with the subscribe link below. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. What do your colleagues think of you? You work wherever you work, what do they think of you, and what does your family think of you? And take a minute and just really think about that and digest that. And then what do you think about yourself? And I ask you that because people are expecting you to fail, and you're coming in a different expectation of yourself, yet a lot of times people don't narrow down what they need and what they want, why they want it. And I'm going to give you some personal information on me, but before I do that, I'm asking these questions because first of all, you shouldn't really care what your colleagues think of you, and you shouldn't care what your family think about you. But if you go and you start telling people that you're a surplus funds locator, and yet you do nothing for the business, and you say you're going to do the business tomorrow, and I get on the phone with people, and sometimes people, this is so true and really sad. I get on the phone with people, and they say to me, you know what, I'm really glad I got in the course, and I'm really glad I did this. I have something going on at work. I'm going to be traveling over the next few days. Next week, I'm going to go see a friend out of town that I haven't seen forever, and then I'm gonna go have some car work done, and then I need to do A, B, C, D, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bring this into my life. You're not. It happens all the time. I've talked to people who always have that next excuse. They're going on a business trip that they didn't expect. Well, can you pay for Wi-Fi on the plane? Can you download leads? And can you start looking at some addresses and get some information, get a list down? Can you set aside 30 minutes before you go to bed that night? But again, if you constantly have a reason to put this business on the side and you tell everyone that you're in this business, you're doing it, you're making a lot of money, your two worlds are conflicting. I mean, you're wanting one thing and you're saying another. And I give a lot of videos earlier on in the course about, in my videos about goal setting, and I talk about point A and point B, and I talk about the gap and that you need to fill in that gap. And it starts off by filling the gap and it's easy to say, and people might say, oh, that's easy to say. You've got to be willing to do the work. If you're not going to do the work, you're not going to bring meat home from this business, bottom line. And if you always have an excuse on why to start it tomorrow, you're never going to get started. And if you start it, but you aren't doing it consistently, you're poking at it. And I've seen people poke at it, and I've seen people get deals, and I've seen people not get deals. So it depends on how much effort you want to put into your business. Okay, so with that being said, I'd like to ask you what your strengths are and to write them down and spend some solid time really focusing on your strengths. Like for me, one of my strengths has developed, and I used to not be, but I'm really good about calling people. And that would be something about making contact with people, notifying people that they have unclaimed funds. I've gotten used to it. You've all seen me under the fire. You've all seen me under the gun. I've gotten used to notifying people that they have funds they didn't know they've had. That's definitely a strength of mine. I have several others, and again, I want this video to be about you. So think about what your strengths are and write those down. And then think about your weaknesses. Like one of my weaknesses is my organization. I tend to have a million files open. I tend to have a ton of things open. I'm always going to get to something later, and I have to know that about myself. And I'm going to talk to you about accountability, but that might be something I could bring in with an accountability partner. Like, hey, I'm not really being organized. My goal is to be organized. I need to spend 30 minutes going through my CRM and making sure that all my leads are contacted, and I need someone to hold me accountable to that. Can you make sure that happens? Boom, and you have the accountability right there for that. Okay, so that might be something, but your strengths and your weaknesses. It might be hiring someone on Upwork to do some work for you, or Fiverr, or one of those companies, and they might need to do some work at some organization for you. It might be finding someone in your family or your inner network that do this. Now, I asked you what you thought of yourself, what friends and what colleagues thought of you. You've heard me a million times say that people get weird when you say you're going to go to work for yourself. So many people in the United States fail in business, 90%, and 90% do not have a business plan, they do not have goals, they don't have a vision, they don't have a mission. My vision at Warriors, if you really want to know my vision, it's to be able to take people, plug them in a market where they can farm and work and get results. I want to be able to guide and direct people into that. That has become my vision. And I think anyone who's received coaching from me at Warriors would definitely tell you that I am very focused on that. And that's my market. That's what I want to do for people. Okay. So you've got to have that. Now let's go into your goals. Let me go over a couple goals and non-goals for you. Like I see people's goals and then I ask for an action plan and I ask for things, and I've learned a lot about guiding people through goals since I've been involved in the warrior community. But if you say, oh, make $100,000 a month, quit my job, fire my boss, travel all over the world and be able to do what I want to do. Well, I don't do that, and I can't do that. In fact, last Monday, I had a really busy day, and my 4-year-old fell off a slide. I did a whole after video on this that you'll see on one of my videos, but he fell off a slide, slid his head open, and 3 stitches later, 4.5, 5 hours later, I was in my office working Monday night, catching up on the things I wasn't able to do that day. It was great to be able to have the flexibility to be able to take off. I called one of my coaches and warriors. I said, hey, I need you to take over here, and I facilitated a few things on the road. It was great being able to have that flexibility, being able to be in the doctor's office with him and make sure that he was okay, and he was fine. But it's not like I could do whatever I want, not work, and not do that. If those are your goals, then you really need to sit down and you really need to take a deep breath. For me, what inspired my goals was I was in a very unhealthy work environment, very unhealthy, and that was number one. Number two is I wanted to be a family guy. I wanted to be with my family, but like, why not go work for another work environment? I mean, because I ask people this all the time when they say I want to go fire my boss. Well, why not go work for another boss? Well, many philosophies that were happening that I thought should be happening were nationwide, not nationwide. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about just bosses, principals, people that you work under, and things you do. And I didn't agree with some of the things that were happening within the infrastructure of it. And I know that would have been with my next boss. I'm not ragging on anything, but I knew that what I was doing and what I thought I should be doing were two different things, and I had a real inner conflict of my core values of what I believed, and I really had to sit down and take a couple deep breaths. If you're in a miserable work environment, you've really got to ask yourself, can I go work for myself? Like, I'm working with the warrior right now, and he's got the income coming in to be able to stop working for his boss, and he has a great job, but he wants the freedom and he wants to be able to work for himself. And when I say freedom, like this morning, I went up and I woke up, I got some exercise in, I was able to spend some time with my family and kids. I was able to do a few things before I came in the office. Now I'm in the office, now I'll be putting in a good 5-6 solid hours. Then I'll have some more freedom in the afternoon. I'll be, my kids will be done with their day. It'll be like 3 o'clock, something like that. You have that freedom and that infrastructure. But I'm working with this warrior on his actual schedule and saying bye-bye to his job. Now, he's got a really good job and he likes the additional income that's coming in, but he's also in a situation where it's like, okay, I want to be able to decide the hours I work, spend that time with the family, and have a life kind of like they're having. My biggest awakening was benefits. When I stopped teaching and I knew this would be happening, I had what's called COBRA, and I could pay it into my medical, and it was $1,800 a month, or $1,500 a month, which is $18,000 a year. Pretty pricey. I was able to afford it. Thank God I was able to do it. But there were other things that came in. When you go and apply for a loan, you've got these nice bank accounts, you have other things, but you're self-employed. Well, how long? I mean, bankers don't like that. They like the consistency of seeing bank checks and everything. It's a whole new world when you become self-employed. But I talked to people, like I called one of the teachers at my previous school, and he told me how miserable it was and that was going on. And I'm not going to say what on camera, but I was just like, wow, about the work environment. And basically there was an administrator at our school who just moved out, but this administrator has been at numerous schools and ran out of numerous places, and it's like wow. But even then, some of the infrastructure of other stuff that's going on, and he's telling me, he goes, I just got 10 more years before I retire. And I asked him, I said, okay, why would you go through this for 10 more years? Well, I don't have the medical, I don't have this, I don't have that. And it's sad because he's trained himself to be miserable for the next 10 years, and then he thinks he's gonna be happy. And it's like, wow, it's just like, I'm so glad I kind of jumped off of that wagon when I did. And part of me has thought, well, I should try to save my retirement somehow or another. And that, I think that's common. And part of me thinks, okay, would I do this? But it's a whole new eye opener. But for me, I wanted to be able to step away from my job. Number one is I work better alone. I really do. Well, I have people that work for me. You all know that. But I work better with my own work environment, my own life, and conducting it. I like planning out my day. I like saying, okay, from this time to this time, I'll be working on Warriors. And I have I have projects. Like right now I'm working on 2 or 3 projects within Warriors, and YouTube videos, they're part of my projects that go on. Software and some of the software development, they're part of my projects. We're revamping the course right now. We're putting in new modules because we're updating stuff. That's part of my projects. And this is all stuff that's working on. So I don't wake up at 10 a.m. and sit on the couch and eat pizza and then at 3 o'clock. And plus, you think about that lifestyle and you'd be absolutely miserable. So when you're looking at your goals, you really need to look at and I probe at the why, and I have earlier YouTube videos on this. Well, I don't want to work for I want to fire my boss. Well, why not go work for another boss? Because I hate my job, I hate what I do. Okay, why not find another profession? And then when people start talking, then they get into well, I've got a family and I want to be there for my family. That is a why. I work better alone and I want to be able to do X, Y, Z, and this would work good within my daily routine, and I want to do this for me. That is a why. Not because you hate something, not because you're miserable with something. I mean, I know a lot of people that work 9 to 5s and they're very happy working. In fact, I've got people in the Warrior community that bring in $1,500 to $2,000 a month. That's anywhere from $18,000 to $24,000 a year. That's a nice raise. If you could make and it's pre-tax, you make $18,000, $24,000 a year just by some extra work you do and incorporating a small little business. That's great. Then I have other people who make 6-7 figures a year that have said to themselves, I'm done working for my boss, or they've been bosses before, and it's incredible. I mean, I've seen it all. But you have to understand your goals. You have to understand your why. Hey everybody, I really appreciate you watching this video. Do me a favor, if you have likes, put a likes on here. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, go and subscribe and click the notification link. I give out freebies. And I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.